Bienvenidos y bienvenidas a la Zumpuliche Interview con Jhon Jatenjor.
No, forget my very bad English.
No, if my Spanish was like your English, I'd be, satisfied and set for life.
Thank you. John is the man. He's right there. John, hola John. John is the
Hola, hola, Vida.
So nice to meet you. And
Yes.
all
Hi.
of you, I'm so excited and honored. I've watched some of your other episodes and you guys are fabulous. So thank you so much.
Somos fabulosos que han visto los demás episodios.
¿En
César,
serio? Wow,
one of your friends.
Oh, muchas gracias.
wow.
We are
Gracias.
John, César, and Andres. And now I will be expecting the questions from John. I will be translator and from César. Bueno, John, le dije que estaré pendiente de tus preguntas y las de César. Y nada,
Vamos a iniciar, Vida, con esta gran oportunidad en sus comienzos en el 2003. Maniacal, una historia totalmente increíble. Ahí haces un papel de la segunda enfermera principal en la que estaba siempre al tanto de todo. Nos gustaría que comentases cómo fue la realización y qué aprendiste en ese mundo de la medicina.
okay, Vida, we are going to talk about your first role as the nurse number 2 in Maniacal. Tell us about learning about this world of medicine. Tell us about this role, your first role.
My first role in, I'm sorry, which film?
Maniacal.
Oh, Maniacal. Oh, that was so long ago. I played this nurse. I kind of had a sick sense of humor. And it was just a very spellbinding film. I played this nurse in this hospital. It was a very troubled young man from a very troubled family. So basically in those kinds of roles, which are fine, it's a great supporting role for a woman. But what I like is now that I'm progressing in my career, I feel like I play more leading roles, or I'm not the girlfriend or the sister or the nurse. I'm like the doctor or, the girl, or the lady, or I think in English, it's they use the term it girl, or, the person the movie revolves around, which, I love doing supporting roles, but it's something interesting that I've noticed. But yeah, I was just like a wisecracking, obnoxious, somewhat devious nurse. Not a good kind of nurse to be.
Not the kind of nurse that we need now.
No,
Okay.
we need nice nurses now. And I'm so grateful to all our nurses and healthcare workers in this time. So, yeah.
Yeah, we had the honor to interview one actress that is really a nurse. So in this show, we tend like you all the nurse and all the work that they do. Okay.
Yes, incredible. I mean, it's hard enough to wear the scrubs and the white jacket. I don't know how these people do it in real life. I tip my hat to them. So, bravo to the nurses. But yeah, unfortunately, this wasn't, being that it's horror, it's not your typical nurse, I suppose, as they say.
Okay, I will translate. Thank you, Vida. Bueno, John y César, se trata increíblemente, a pesar de que es su primer rol, no es un rol de extra, es un rol de reparto, de hecho. Es una enfermera llena de humor muy negro. Es un rol, digamos, como, spellbinding sería algo así como muy sorpresivo. Lo que más le encantó a Vida de este papel es que después de este rol fue progresando a roles no solo secundarios, sino principales, donde no tenía que ser la enfermera, sino incluso la doctora, donde no tenía que ser la novia, sino la protagonista.
Aún por eso.
Claro, hay que entender que, en este rol, ella es una película de terror, así que al tratarse de una cinta de terror se llama Maniacal. dijo Maniacal, sino Maniacal. El rol de enfermera es una enfermera que no encontraríamos ahora bajo esta situación. Ella hace un paréntesis para agradecerle la labor que han hecho pues, las enfermeras ahora, obviamente una labor que hemos reconocido acá, tú sabes,
Claro.
una labor que,
También.
claro, que hemos reconocido acá. Y nada, dice que para ella fue pues, muy gracioso y un honor haber interpretado este primer papel como una enfermera con un humor muy, muy negro, pero que pues que no se acerca al tipo de labor que hacen las enfermeras ahora. Entonces, un buen espacio para reconocer.
Ok, esto es muy, muy importante, se lo agradecemos, Vida, por eso. Y también hay un entrañable video que es de Martyr. Ella está haciendo como la chica de Café Panteón, por así decirlo. Entonces, ¿qué recuerdas de ese video? A pesar de ser de algunos varios años atrás, he visto en muchas entrevistas que no es muy comentado y sería bueno que este fuese el primer canal que lo recordase.
Okay, Vida, let's continue with your early career. Let's talk about the Martyr. Which you play Café Patron. John wants to be, I hope, or we hope, the first media that told about this role because we feel that it's a role that needs to be commented, even if it's an early role. So tell us more about this project.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up because the times were, and not to get political, but it was all about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And I was just an ordinary person leading my ordinary life in a coffee place. And I think what they wanted to do is the director, who's an American filmmaker, he works for Fox now, he said that he wanted to show both sides. He didn't really make it clear if I was Palestinian or Israeli, my character, but he just wanted to show like the human condition, like, you know, no matter, because there was different clues, like in some scenes one could think that I was Palestinian, in some scenes one could think I was Israeli. So I think it was a very timely film now. Unfortunately, all the things that are happening right now, and particularly, I believe he cast me because I was of Middle Eastern descent. And I think the term is, I don't know if you guys have this in Colombia, it's called ethnically ambiguous, where you can play various ethnicities. So he had different, mostly actors were Middle Eastern. I believe one of them was Lebanese. They had people that you couldn't really tell. You could tell they were from that part of the world, but you couldn't really tell. So I guess he was kind of before his time, but I think he just wanted to show the human condition, that we're all human beings. It doesn't matter, you know, it's terrible what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Everybody that's in that, you know, very holy city, you know, is affected, and that very holy place is affected, be it whatever you are. So it was just an interesting tale of the human condition, and it just shows like the span of a day, like just doing normal things, how the slightest decision, going to a cafe in the middle of the day, could lead to, you know, God forbid, destruction. So I thought that was just a very timely piece, and it was a very heavy set to be on, because I had met some of the other actors that were Israeli and Palestinian, and surprisingly they all got along, but it was just, it brought up a lot of PTSD for these people, which was really sad, but it also added a lot of weight to the story.
Yes, Vida. In fact, we got the honor. We are going to publish this interview later with Jad Guzman. Jad Guzman is an actor from Colombia.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and he got the loot. He never played a role in Colombia. He has worked on the Power Rangers, on movies on Panama, on movies with Chicano people. So yeah, Colombia is a place with very ambiguous ethnicities, and I congratulate you because, okay, I like John and César, we are very filmmakers. I remember back in those years a movie called Paradise Now. So I feel like this kind of project, the Martyr, is so very ahead of its time.
Yes.
I remember that from the Oscars right now, there was a short film called The Present that don't win. I hope, okay, another film win best short film. But I think this kind of stories is need to be told and to be revisited. So I will translate and I will invite people to look for the Martyr. Thanks for your answer. Wow, John, te vas. Increíble pregunta, increíble respuesta. No me lo vas a creer. The Martyr trata sobre, no voy a decir que las relaciones, pero sí sobre lo que es la vida entre israelitas y palestinos.
Wow.
Con Vida sucede algo increíble, porque, bueno, yo obviamente tengo unas raíces árabes, pero ella me preguntó si al igual que en Colombia sucede lo mismo que sucede con ella. Hay algo llamado ambigüedades de raza, o sea, gente que puede interpretar cualquier papel y nadie va a saber, bueno, esta persona es colombiana, esta persona es estadounidense, esta persona, bueno. Dice que se trata de un filme que habla del día a día de la gente de Palestina y de Israel, pero que cualquier decisión que se tome, ir a un café, bueno, como el papel de ella, ir a un café, ir a cualquier lugar, pues genera cosas de vida o muerte. Pues yo le dije que tuvimos la suerte de entrevistar a Jack Guzmán, tú sabes, nuestro amigo, nuestro parcerito.
Claro, Power Ranger.
El Power Ranger. Y yo le dije, claro, mira, Vida, aquí en Colombia entrevistamos a un actor donde él nunca ha hecho papeles en Colombia, todos los papeles los ha hecho en Estados Unidos, ha interpretado a chicanos, afros, y que siento también que el papel de ella es muy adelantado a su época, pues porque en esa época yo me acuerdo de una película llamada Paraíso Ahora, pero también me acuerdo de una película que fue nominada a los que recientemente llamado El Regalo, por ese, que trata sobre eso. Entonces que ambos sentimos que esta es una película que se tiene que revisitar, tenemos que ver de Martyr, porque pues más ahora con lo que está pasando entre Israel y Palestina. Él dice que quería mostrar que son ciudadanos normales, o sea, que su día a día es normal. Entonces, increíble pregunta, increíble respuesta.
Oh, gracias, Vida, por eso. César,
Vida.
Ok, gracias. Hola, Vida. Pues bueno, mi primera pregunta es sobre esta película, Eternal Code, que fue dirigida por Harley Wallen. Yo quería preguntarte cómo fue tu experiencia trabajando en esta, bueno, con Harley y bueno, en este film.
Hey, Vida, we are going to talk about Eternal Code. We got the loot to interview Harley Wallen. He's one of our friends. So we need to talk, to ask, to question you how was working in this movie. Tell us more about this project.
You know, I feel for me on so many levels, this film was like the ultimate life changer. Like I said, just on so many levels, like on a societal, socioeconomic level. Who knew that there would be a pandemic? Who knew that there would be, you know, I hate to say this, but there's like, you know, the 1% of the world. There's the, you know, the Bill Gateses of the world and, you know, Elon Musk and, you know, Bezos, Jeff Bezos and all these people. And it's so timely because I don't know if, I hope it doesn't affect you guys in Colombia, but in this country, the middle class are being squeezed. And it's all about, you know, big businesses are getting bigger. Aren't they going to buy out MGM, Amazon, or something crazy like that? It just goes to show, which goes along with Eternal Code in a way, because it's all about, you know, what happens if the 1%, you know, has power to live eternally. I mean, without giving too much away. So it affected me on like a sociological level. And then it also affected me on different levels because working with Harley he's a pure genius. And I think he has a very interesting worldview. You know, he was born and raised in Sweden and, you know, lives in, you know, the Midwest now. So he has like the perfect POV of a European person. He has the perfect POV of an American person living in the West, you know, in the Midwest. So he's just a very, very worldly individual. He looks at the whole picture. And I've noticed that when he's filmmaking, when he's directing, when he's acting, whatever this guy does, he's full throttle. And same with his wife, Katie, who's lovely and so talented. These two work so hard, and you know they deserve every kind of success in the world. And I tip my hat to them. They're doing incredible things. So that was just a great experience. And I also got to work with one of my favorite actors, Richard Tyson. I loved him in Kindergarten Cop. There's another movie I really liked, 3 O'Clock High, and I even called him by his character. So it was just an amazing experience working with him and the other actors, Brillie Worth from The Lost Boys, Mel Novak from Bruce Lee's Game of Death, Scout Taylor Compton, who's a renowned young actress. So it was just an amazing, amazing cast. I was so honored to be a part of it. And another thing that really affected me was, ironically, it was my first role as a scientist. And my dad was a scientist at NASA, and also he taught at the University of Tehran, and he was like a professor emeritus there. He would go back and forth. So in that culture, being a scientist is like being Kobe Bryant or being LeBron James, and being like a professor. It's very different. So it's like, you know, they have a certain cachet in those cultures, and I'm sure maybe it's similar where you guys are from, but they really, teachers are very well respected. So when I was playing this role, when I was cast in this role, it went in all the Iranian media, it went in, because Afghanistan's next door, like pretty much most of the Middle Eastern media. And it was just a big thing because I guess my dad was an important scientist. I got to play a scientist, but the scientist I played was much different than my dad. But it was a life changer. And I'm sorry this is such a long answer. I'm just very passionate about this film because after that, I started playing very intellectual, smart, wise women, which I think is really important, you know, for young girls to see, you know, to play. In that film, we had a woman play a CEO, you know, so the very, very powerful roles came across my path after that. And, you know, I have an amazing manager, Joe Williamson. I tip my hat to Joe. He, you know, had a lot of faith in me, and he really, you know, he even helped me get ready for this. So, you know, I can't stress enough how much I appreciated working with these people, and they're consummate professionals. And I hope and wish that, you know, all actors have an amazing experience like this.
Don't worry, Vida. Your answer is long because there is some answer like 20 minutes, so don't worry. I got a great memory. 2, we got the loot not only to interview Harley, that is one of the friends, but Angelina Aniel Sama. Angelina Aniel is also one of the interviews that we're going to publish. 3, you are right, because in Colombia there is now in this time we are in riots because of these social injustices of wages for the poor people, for the medium class, people that are very rich, and thank you, because we are feeling support by people like you, the interviewers, the interview ones. And I will translate an amazing answer, and I know John and César will love this answer. Bueno, John y César van a flipar. Ella dice que, bueno, que primero pide disculpas. Yo le dije que no había problema en una respuesta tan larga, pero es que para ella Eternal Code es el proyecto más importante que ha ocurrido en la vida de ella. ¿Por qué? Bueno, vamos como ya al destripador por partes. Primero, bueno, tú sabes muy bien que todos lo sabemos, César, John, que Harley Wallen es un genio. Harley Wallen es un cineasta que necesita demostrar, y no solo Harley, sino su esposa. Harley, mucho antes de que comenzara toda esta pandemia, había previsto una historia sobre cómo, bueno, ella dijo nombres, ¿no? Aquí te puedo decir, ella habló de Jeff Bezos, ella habló de gente que quiere quedarse con todo, gente muy poderosa que quiere comprar las empresas, gente que tiene, digamos, el 1% que es la dueña de todos los recursos más grandes del mundo, quiere aprovecharse con todo. De hecho, esta película trata sobre la tecnología de la vida eterna, ¿no? Tú sabes muy bien. Y que está elaborada por 2 compañías. Bueno, aquí leyendo directamente la IMDb. Después de esta historia, pues tan adelantada, se adelantó un año de lo que está ocurriendo ahora con el COVID. Dice ella, desafortunadamente, ella dice que, pues, que espera saber que en Colombia no esté pasando lo mismo. Ella dice que para ella fue un placer trabajar, pues, tú sabes, Richard Tyson, increíble actor. Oh, ella le encanta desde Kindergarten Code, obviamente es una de las que más nos gusta a nosotros. Y obviamente, pues tú sabes muy bien el elenco tan increíble que hay acá, ¿no? O sea, Tyler Compton, que es un actor que ahorita está, pues, pegando, es muy joven, que está pegando. Yo le mencioné la respuesta, obviamente, a Daniel Sama. Otra cuestión muy importante es que ella acá interpreta a una científica. Al haber interpretado a una científica, pues para ella significa algo muy importante, porque uno, el papá de ella fue científico. Y fue científico en una época, wow, increíble. Y fue científico en una época donde ser científico era como ser, ella lo dice, como ser Kobe Bryant, como ser un atleta, algo muy importante. gracias a este papel, bueno, y además entendiendo que Harley, ella lo dice, ¿no? Es una persona que al vivir en Europa y Estados Unidos, pues conoce lo mejor de ambos mundos. Sabes, Harley es muy inteligente, Harley es un parcero, tú lo sabes. Gracias a este papel, medios en Afganistán, medios en la zona media de Asia, la sacaron en televisión porque para ellos era muy importante pues, que una actriz, una mujer, estuviera interpretando una científica. Entonces aquí tienen, gracias César por la pregunta, porque Eternal Code para ellos es el proyecto más importante de su carrera.
Wow.
César, puedes continuar.
Ok. Bueno, mi siguiente pregunta es, bueno, he visto que ha actuado en muchas películas de terror. Quisiera preguntarle qué opina sobre este género, sobre el terror, y qué debe tener una buena película de terror para que, bueno, para que sea buena.
Okay. Antes de preguntar, John, también le conté lo que está ocurriendo en Colombia y dice que nos apoya.
Gracias.
No. Okay, Vida, John and I will thank you for the support that you are showing here from the situation in Colombia. It's very hard. And Cesar wants to ask you, like, you are a person, an actress that had worked in very, very, very a lot of roles in terror movies. Tell us, in your experience, what elements got a really great terror movie?
Sure. Before I get into that, I just want to say my dad didn't make the Kobe Bryant income or like LeBron James income. They don't make that kind of money in Iran, but it's the same kind of respect that they, they're like celebrities, believe it or not, like smart people, which is so interesting for me. But none of the fancy gold trophies, which they deserve, none of the millions and millions, which they deserve. But, it's more like a prestige. It's like a different kind of prestige. So just wanted to settle that so you guys don't think I'm the 1% or whatever. Unfortunately, it's not the case. So going back to the horror movies, I just want to give that disclaimer. Going back to the horror movies, I think for me, believe it or not, women's roles in horror films have become very empowering. It's gone from being the woman that's chased to the woman that's the detective, or the woman that's the scientist, or the woman that's the business lady that's trying to figure out, what's going on, or to try to stop what's going on. So I feel like I've evolved from the woman being chased in the woods to the woman finding out the situation, or, helping the situation get better. And I think roles for women in horror are much more multifaceted. Like, we're not like, oh, I'm on the train tracks, the monster is going to get me. I think it's more like, let me find out what this monster is and let me kill the monster before it doesn't affect other people. Like in one of the films I did, Dustin Ferguson's Moon of the Blood Beast, I played this very plucky dispatcher, and I was determined to find out who this blood beast was, and I wanted to help the sheriff track down the blood beast. Whereas in the past, I'd be, running in the woods, and, more power to the girls that run in the woods in the fake blood. But it's nice to be in horror films and survive them. So for me, that was the turning point. And, as a young girl growing up in the DC metro area, before my time, The Exorcist was filmed there. And there's the famous Exorcist steps. So for me, horror films have always had a certain sort of magic to them. Coming from the area where The Exorcist, supposedly they say it actually happened, but I grew up in that area, so I feel like I've almost been influenced by horror, just by where I've grown up.
Remember, please, the name of the movie from Dustin Ferguson.
It's Moon of the Blood Beast.
Okay, thank you. I will translate. Para Vida, el género del horror es muy importante porque es el único género donde se puede mostrar a mujeres con muchas facetas, y pues ha evolucionado al punto, y también la carrera ya ha evolucionado a ser desde la mujer que pues se esconde o corre a la mujer que se enfrenta, directamente a los monstruos. Ella menciona muy bien una película pues de cada uno de los directores que más hemos mencionado, que es Dustin Ferguson.
Oh, Dustin Ferguson es amazing.
Es muy bueno.
Oh, yes.
Y pues ella nos habla de su papel de Dispatcher Noel Johnson en Moon of the Blood Beast, la luna de la bestia sangrienta.
Oh my God.
Dice que es uno de sus roles favoritos. this, bueno, ella nos hace un paréntesis diciendo que, bueno, tal vez el papá de ella tuvo, digamos, como el prestigio de pues, Kobe Bryant y eso, pero no el dinero. Obviamente en un mundo justo, pues un científico ganaría lo mismo de un atleta, ¿no? Pero bueno, eso es otra cosa. Pero para ella los papeles de terror son los que ofrecen, o sea, los papeles de terror son los que ofrecen los mejores roles para las mujeres. Las mujeres son fuertes, las mujeres son las que enfrentan a los monstruos, las mujeres son las investigadoras, las mujeres son las científicas. Y nada, pues acá menciona esta película de nuestro querido Dustin Ferguson.
Wow. Tenemos que entrevistar pronto a Dustin.
Sí, tenemos.
Bueno, Vida, vamos a estar un poco más influyendo en la carrera en Mindy Project. Hay dos preguntas al tiempo. Mindy Project fue una organización muy conocida, sé que se conoció, que se transmitió en varios canales de acá, de Latinoamérica, tanto del país también. Y bueno, y también esa pregunta es cómo usted ve esa trascendencia que ha tenido esa película y también cuál es la diferencia de actuar bajo actuaciones de crédito. Por ejemplo, tuviste una actuación en crédito en Robocop. Entonces, me gustaría saber sobre eso.
Okay, Vida, we're going to talk about the Mindy Project. Project, sorry for repeating the word, that luckily in Latin America we got to see in television. It was a project that was very, very well received. So tell us more about this project, of course, and tell us also about how does it feel to work in movies or TV shows in which you get credits, like Robocop, in which you also had a credit. Tell us about the Mindy Project and this kind of roles.
Yes, I think it's all the same in some respects, but you know, when you're working on I was on the pilot episode, and it was at the time on Fox, so it's just a lot more money and a lot more people involved. That's basically the only difference, and it takes a lot longer because there's a lot more money and there's a lot more people involved. So I played a young mom named Nasreen, and Mindy was my doctor, the character she played. And I think for her, it was very meaningful, especially, you know, being a part of the pilot, because her mom was a gynecologist and she got to play a gynecologist. And I think when we were working on this, her mom, it was just very fresh, like that her mom passed away. So it was very meaningful for her to be doing this. And I was very inspired by her because, you know, I read all her books. And at the time she had one book, and I had her sign her book for me. And she was the lead actress. She was the writer. She was one of the producers. We had the director, Charles McDougall, who did all the big pilots like Sex and the City and lots of different TV shows. He was our director, British guy. And it was just very exciting, you know, to have him around and to work with Mindy. And BJ Novak, who worked with her on The Office, was one of the producers. And I believe, like Mindy, he was one of the writers too. So it was just very inspiring to see a woman who's, you know, a minority. And, you know, she's not your typical Hollywood actress, which I like. She doesn't wear a size 2, which is, you know, I think is very admirable. And it was very empowering to see someone like that be successful. And, you know, she was like the captain of the ship, as they say. And it was just very exciting to be a part of it. And, you know, the guy that played my son was also, you know, that was his first role. So it was nice to be there for him. And it was just wonderful to be a part of it. And just, you know, down to every detail. It was a great experience to work on the Mindy Project. And I ran into her years later at an event. And she's like, you know, people always really remember Nasreen. I was like, thank you. That's very thoughtful. I couldn't believe she remembered me because, you know, so many people have worked on her show. But I thought that was just a very empowering experience. And secondly, working on RoboCop, I did ADR voiceover. And it was the remake of RoboCop, of course, because I'm sure I was a child when the original RoboCop came out, but that was a wonderful experience too. I mean, being on the Fox lot, doing ADR recording with some really renowned voiceover people. And I got to do voiceover in Farsi. And that was just a tremendous, tremendous experience.
Wow, luckily in Latin America, we the type of woman here is like the type of woman like Mindy Kaling. It's like typecasting. It's so different from the things that media wants to sell. So I think that's the reason that why the Mindy project was so well received, because in Latin America we adore real women. We adore,
Yes, much like Middle Eastern culture, like mine, it's very similar. It's like,
yeah.
we relate to these kinds of people more than, the average, very thin American lady. So I think it's really nice. And I think she empowered a lot of women. She's all about body positivity. And I think in these times, it's very important, especially because we've all been locked up for a year. So I think, it's great to see someone like her. And, her books are tremendous. It's all about empowering yourself and being an empowered woman, and so are her television shows. So I thought that was wonderful. It was a great experience, and a lot of her behind the scenes people are women too. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, amazing experience working on that show.
Okay, I'm very happy and will translate. Bueno, John, es increíble. Las dos respuestas, tanto sobre The Mindy Project como Robocop. Bueno, sobre The Mindy Project, ella trabajó en el piloto, pero a pesar de ser el piloto de una serie que después se convirtió en muy conocida, pues gracias a Mindy Kaling. Obviamente Mindy Kaling ya es una celebridad por su propio juicio. En el piloto mucha gente recuerda el personaje Nasrin, que es el que ella interpreta, el que interpreta a Vida. Es que lo genial es que al ser el piloto fue dirigido por Charles McDougall, que dirigió el piloto de Sex and the City, con eso te digo todo. Y he dirigido los pilotos, digamos, los pilotos más importantes que ha tenido Fox o HBO y eso. Este piloto trata sobre la vida de la madre de Mindy, que es ginecóloga, y esto fue grabado justo antes de que la madre muriera. Por eso lo significativo, y pues significó también que esta serie fuera aprobada. Tú sabes muy bien que para que una serie sea aprobada se tiene que ser un piloto, después de grabar. Digamos que tal vez Vida no apareció en los muchos episodios que tiene esta serie. Claro, ya eso fue hace mucho tiempo, 2012. Pero fue significativo. Ella nos habla de la importancia de Mindy, una gran escritora, una mujer que pues obviamente no es el tipo de actriz que buscaría una estadounidense, ¿no? O sea, el tipo tanto de belleza como lo que buscaría. Como dijo ella, no es una mujer talla 2. Yo le comenté que en Latinoamérica, pues afortunadamente acá también aceptamos ese tipo de mujer, ¿no? O sea, no somos tan exigentes. Que fue increíble porque todo el equipo de esa serie son mujeres, y que también pues el rol que hace el papel del protagonista masculino fue el primer rol de él. O sea, Vida fue una parte importante de que este proyecto pegara. En Robocop pues no te lo vas a creer, ella hizo papel, ella tiene un crédito porque ella trabajó parte en la voz en off de esa película, y que ella tuvo muchísimo casting o sea, con expertos en manejo de voz en off y todo eso, y para ella pues fue genial, obviamente, participar del reboot de Robocop. Obviamente es una película que nos gustó mucho, la del reboot, y nada, es genial estos dos aspectos.
Increíble. Muy bueno. César, tiene la palabra.
Gracias. Bueno, mi siguiente pregunta es, de los papeles que ha interpretado, ¿cuáles han sido los que considera que fueron un reto mayor, que se le hicieron más difíciles, bueno, no difíciles, que fueron un reto? ¿Cuáles son esos papeles?
Vida, you previously have told us about the importance there was eternal code for you, but we want to know, in all the roles that you have played, the many multi-layered roles that you have played, what roles represent a big challenge for you? What's the role or the roles that you say, oh, this is really a challenge, but you accomplish it? Of course, tell us.
For me, it wasn't so much of a challenge as it was newness. Because when I first started in the industry, I would really the people that represented me would really say, "Oh, well, you speak Farsi. Why don't we submit you for the, hijab woman or the woman in the headscarf?" And I'd be like, that's great and everything, but the problem with the woman in the headscarf is those women aren't known to talk. So a lot of the times I'd end up on the cutting room floor. It was just very frustrating for me. And, you know, I have a strong background in comedy. I got my start in comedy. Of course, I do drama as well, but I studied at UCB Upright Citizens Brigade. It was created by Amy Poehler from SNL. And so I have the comedy background. So often when I would play those Middle Eastern roles, it was very like, how do I put this? Stereotypical. So, you know, oh, you know, I'm the woman in the village, help me, you know, they're going to bomb my village. It was like the same, you know, repetition over and over again, the trope of the troubled Middle Eastern woman, you know, or my husband or my son isn't, you know, a hijacker or a terrorist. And it's awful stereotyping. So I think for me, to get out of that, there was a time where I had like 4 or 5 different headscarves in the trunk of my car, because it wasn't that it was too easy, but it was just it's like a trap that actors, I think, can fall into. So for me, it wasn't so much a role that was challenging. It was kind of like a type, an archetype, like a Jungian archetype. Like I ended up playing, you know, I went from Middle Eastern women to playing, you know, just a woman that's having a conflict, or like a character conflict. So for me, it was making the transition to the stereotypical roles to more mainstream roles, and, you know, having very good representation. Again, many thanks to Joe Williamson for, you know, opening my world of acting to play more diverse and interesting characters, not just the stereotypical characters. So for me, it was more of an experience rather than a role in a film.
César y John, para Vida fue más que un rol, fue el hecho de lograr la transición de interpretar, incluso entendiendo que Vida comenzó en la comedia, incluso en proyectos redactados por Amy Poehler, obviamente una gran comediante, una gran escritora, una gran guionista, conocida de Saturday Night Live en Estados Unidos. Por el hecho de ser una mujer pues con ascendencia árabe, era muy difícil salir del rol, que ella sí que era muy horrible, pues sí, de la mujer árabe donde, no sé, la aldea allí iba a ser bombardeada, o el esposo o el hijo iban a ser secuestrados, y que incluso llegó un punto donde ella tenía 4 bufandas, 4 vestuarios distintos de mujer árabe en su tráiler. Entonces para ella fue más que un rol el lograr salir de esos papeles y demostrar que no puede interpretar a cualquier mujer con un reto, y no la mujer árabe en problemas.
Oh, es una increíble pregunta y una gran respuesta. Vida, como pregunta para finalizar esta gran entrevista, ¿qué sigue en los demás proyectos que vienen? ¿Cuál es la meta para este 2021 y 2022 pronto? ¿Cuáles son esos roles?
Hey, Vida, sadly, this is the last question, and we want to know what is your goal from this 2021 and 2022 in your roles, in your projects. Tell us more about that.
Sure, there's a lot coming up that I really can't talk about, but I will say my film Apex Predators, which also stars Brink Stevens from Slumber Party Massacre, I believe, and Mel Novak, again from Bruce Lee's Game of Death, the lovely Donnelly Heising, who you guys also interviewed, who's in many, many, many films, and also Maria Olsen was a renowned actress as well. So I got to work with these amazing people. That's out on DVD. It's on various platforms. It's in Walmart right now as we speak. So that's coming out. And the character I play in that was inspired by, if you look at my character name, I know we don't have much time, but it was inspired by, it's kind of a pun of the character that was an alien, the lead lady, her name escapes me, but it was kind of a pun of a different character, my character's name. But I also played a scientist. It was after Eternal Code, so I got to play a scientist alongside Brink Stevens, and it was just wonderful. You know, working with Dustin is quite an experience because he is just so talented. He's this young guy. He's made so many films, and he is in love with movies and making movies. And I don't know if you interview him or you plan on interviewing him, but you will. If you love movies, you'll love movies even more. This guy's incredible. When you're on a set with him, it's like Jeopardy because he knows every single movie, or Trivial Pursuit. This guy is just amazing because of his love of movies. And I also had the honor of working on another film with him with Oscar Award nominated actress who you guys are going to be interviewing, the lovely Sally Kirkland, The Woman in the Room. It was a wonderful experience for me working on that film as well. And, you know, I tipped my hat to Dustin as well because, you know, working on a Stephen King, it was based on a Stephen King short story. I mean, that is tremendous. I would think it's tremendous pleasure, but it was a thing of beauty. And, you know, just working with these amazing, talented people was quite an experience. And it went into, I believe there's a festival for Stephen King films. So that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I love what he did with it. And the relationship between the mother and the kids, particularly the son, was just a thing of tragedy and a thing of beauty to watch. And it was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, we got, I think one of your goals of this channel is to interview Dustin, who really loves the war. And of course, we are waiting the interview for Sally, but we are so happy to interview you, so I will translate. Bueno, John, dice que son muchos proyectos afortunadamente, pero ya habla de dos específicamente. Uno es Abyss Predators.
Los Ángeles.
Claro, tú sabes, con Dustin Ferguson, dice que
Nova.
Claro, de hecho ella nos pregunta si ya entrevistamos a Dustin, pues ya le dije que no, que es una de nuestras metas. Dice que es una persona que hablar con él es como ver Jeopardy, él sabe todo lo de cine, una persona que ve mucho cine. En esta cinta, bueno, obviamente tenemos a Mel Nova, of course.
Leyenda.
A Damon Lee Hasty, a Brink Stevens, a Maria Olsen. Y pues para Vida, este rol le gusta muchísimo, pues primero porque ella interpreta una especie de broma al personaje de Ripley en Alien.
Doctora Elaine Ripley.
Ripley, exacto.
Yes, based on that character, I thought that was very funny, personally. Yes, there's all these like little inside things I think is quite nice because, you know, she was a very powerful woman. Exactly.
Yes, it's like Easter eggs, no? Like
yes, it is. I have to say, I don't know very much Spanish, but you guys could have a great side job as UN translators because it's a rapid fire fast. I must say I'm very impressed with all of you, but the translation in of itself is you know, très bueno and mucho bueno. I wish I spoke Spanish. I unfortunately took French in high school, but I love the language and I love the culture. And it saddens me to hear what people in Colombia are going through. You know, I'm of Middle Eastern descent, so I've seen it happen. Well, I haven't seen it happen, but I heard from my parents what happened. And, you know, there's so much going on in this country right now, and it's just such a challenging time. So I'm very grateful for this interview. I'm very, very honored to be interviewed by you guys, and I hope everything, you know, works out and, you know, doors open in the world. And, you know, I really feel for what's going on. I have many friends growing up in the DC area from Argentina and Venezuela, and they've been through a lot themselves. So, you know, hopefully we can all, you know, get out of this on the other side of this much, much better. And I hope everybody's healthy and safe and wonderful. And thank you so much for this opportunity. You can find me on my social media, Vida Ghaffari, VIDAGHAFF, like Frank, ARI. And it's such an honor. All of you are so amazing.
Vida, thank you so much for your words. I will translate them. Thank you. I will translate and I will give you my kind answer. Bueno, John, dice que nos felicita. Dice que sabe que estamos en momentos muy duros, bueno, especialmente en Colombia, que ella tenía amigos en DC. Se me olvidó decir algo, a ella al vivir en DC conoció su historia de exorcista, ¿no? Y conoció las personas que se basaron en la historia real del exorcismo, del exorcista, y que eso le inspiró mucho. Pero bueno, ella dice que sabe que estamos pasando por momentos duros y que ella hace familia de gente que ha vivido en el Middle East, en el Medio Oriente, que ella nos entiende, que nos felicita. Bueno, sigamos hablando sobre ellos. Acá para ella no solo es importante haber interpretado su papel de Lady Ripley por el hecho de ser como una especie de homenaje a Ripley de Alien, sino también por el hecho de que interpreta otra vez a una científica, y pues obviamente trabajar al lado de Rick Stevens y Damon Lee Hasty el Nobel, pues es suficiente. Pero también nos habla un proyectazo, este Woman in the Room, de Dustin Ferguson, con, pues, ella quiere spoiler, nos habla de, pues, Sally Kurland, es un gran papel que ella interpreta, y pues es una película que fue estrenada incluso en un festival basado, aparte de que es una película basada en un cuento de Stephen King, es en un festival basado en Stephen King, entonces estamos pendientes de estos roles,
Wow.
invitan a redes sociales de ella, y nada, creo que ella merece más que un aplauso, pues un agradecimiento.
Oh,
We clap you.
Thank
Oh,
you so
I
much.
want to clap back, but I'm on my phone. Let me see if I can. I'm clapping at you, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so honored. Thank you so much.
Okay, John saying that he had made some top fives from some college of you, but he's working on a top five from movies with you, with yourself. The
Oh,
top five
thank
would be.
you. I'm so honored.
Vida, muchas gracias por esta oportunidad, en serio.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh,
Such an
okay.
honor. If you guys are ever in Los Angeles, I'll have to find a Colombian restaurant. They're all Mexican or Peruvian here. So well, if you're ever out here, when the world opens up again.
Oh, dice que ha visto bastante nuestros videos, quiere buscar
Oh,
restaurantes
gracias.
colombianos, que haya encontrado restaurantes mexicanos, que es lo bueno en Los Ángeles, pero
Ah, qué rico.
no, the Mexican food is amazing, but the Colombian
It
food,
is amazing.
no, the Colombian
Oh
food,
yeah, I haven't had Colombian food, but the Mexican food is amazing because where I'm from, it's all Tex-Mex. You know, because in the East Coast is a lot of Tex-Mex. It's no bueno. You come here, it's something else. So yeah, if you all are ever in Los Angeles, we'll have to find, a Colombian restaurant. They're all Peruvian or Mexican here. So go figure.
oh,
And birria,
Birria.
very popular.
birria.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
Birria.
yeah,
Sí.
it's all over the place now. So it's like it never existed until now. It's very trendy. They have different trends.
It's strange because there is a Colombian movie called Paraíso Travel and shows a restaurant called the Paraíso, but it doesn't exist. No, we need to show the Colombian food. It's amazing, like the Mexican food. I love both. This called and it's funny because they say the Peruvian food is the best, but no, I think Mexican and Colombian is the best food.
I think the Peruvian drinks are really good. There's some drinks they have. I forget. It's purple. What is it again? What do they call it?
La bebida de Perú, que es de color
What's
morada.
the name?
No,
It's not alcoholic. It's just like a fruit drink. It's purple. I forget what it is.
we don't know because we love more the food foreign countries, so we don't know the food from Peru.
Oh, right. I guess what's a big deal here isn't a big deal everywhere else. So go figure.
Yes. No, I hope we can visit you someday and we can show you really great Colombian food.
Definitely. I look forward to it. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, fellas. It's such an honor. And please thank John for me. And thank you all for your amazing translation and interview skills. You guys are the best. Muy bueno. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Que John, que tú eres genial y que somos los mejores.
Oh, gracias, Vida.
Muy bueno.
Muchas gracias.
Muy bueno.
Muy
Bye,
bueno.
bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vida.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Bye.
Gracias.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye. Ya saben, en la Sunpublishe Interview con Jhon Jatenjor los invita a suscribirse, darle me gusta, compartir y disfruten de estas grandes entrevistas inéditas a las grandes celebridades del séptimo arte a través de las traducciones simultáneas del inglés al español y del español al inglés y muchas curiosidades más.